Washington because they wanted to appeal to the national government to protect the civil rights of all Americans. The reason they came to Washington is because the state of Alabama, state of Mississippi, state of Georgia, state of Louisiana, states all over the South were openly violating the civil rights and voting rights of African American people. So it was decided to come to Washington. A.F. Randolph, a labor leader, had been talking about marching on Washington since the 1940s. They had a prayer pilgrimage in 57, but finally they came and built this great march on Washington. It was because of the states' rights movement. And I remind you now, many of you study history. Throughout the history of this country, there has always been a battle of those that believe in a strong federal government and those that believe in a decentralized state power government. That was part of the fight in the Civil War. It was also the fight in the 60s around civil rights. In the Civil War, it was the slave states versus the free states. And the free states were more interested in free trade and industry and to break the agricultural financial arm of the South. They really didn't fight to free us. It was about who was going to be in charge of the American economy, and we were the collateral part. In the 60s, it was states' rights. George Wallace, who was the governor of Alabama, went and stood in the door at the University of Alabama and said that he would not allow black students to go to that state college and blocked them from going. And it was a federal decision to send in federal troops to protect their rights to go to school. That's why they came to Washington. That is why if you read the speech, Dr. King talked about governors whose lips drip with the words of interposition and nullification. Well, what does that mean? They nullified federal law. They interposed themselves over the sovereignty of the nation. What tomorrow will be in the nation's capital is those that believe in states' rights against those that believe in a national government protecting us. This is, in many ways, what Beck is doing is really bringing the argument out front, because that crowd of Tea Partiers are coming to say we have too much government in life. And we're saying the government must protect us and solve the problems that we have. How do you have too much government if you are here in Washington, D.C., and you don't even have the right to vote for representation in the U.S. Senate and U.S. House? Do you realize that some of your sisters and brothers have gone to war to make sure they had the right to vote in Baghdad, the capital of Iraq, and you don't have the right to vote in the capital of the United States of Washington, D.C.? How can we need less government? Tonight, blacks are doubly unemployed than whites. I'm not talking about 63, I'm talking about 2010. Last statistics. Tonight, only 47% of blacks are getting high school diploma, whereas 78% of whites are getting it. Tonight, we still average 20% less annual income black to white in this country. We've made a lot of progress, but we're not there yet. To say that the election of President Obama showed great progress is the truth. But to say that the election alone is achieving of Dr. King's dream is not true. The election of President Obama helped put us in a better position to achieve the dream, but that wasn't the dream. and galvanize yourselves like the students did the sisters. Not for Dr. King, not for us, for yourself. Because you will leave this campus and go to an uneven society. That still is not fair. Blacks with college degrees can't get the same job as white with college degrees. Blacks with the same degrees get pulled over by the cops more than whites with college degrees. Don't think because you're educated and smart that they're going to give you a test before they pull you over. So, we ask you to mobilize for yourself. Well, rather, you got to say there's been progress. Yes, and the progress came because there was struggle. And if you stop struggling, the progress will stop. But don't confuse progress with a ride. I fly a lot. I was flying the other day, going into Atlanta. About an hour out, we got in a storm. Couldn't see. Wind clouds, turbulence, shaking the plane. After about 20 minutes, Councilman Thomas, we flew out of the plane, flew out of the clouds, flew out of the turbulence. Plane leveled off. Sunshine came out. Storm was over. I didn't get up to get off the plane. Even though it was better and we were out of the storm, I still hadn't landed and arrived nowhere. They're trying to get you to jump out the plane before we arrive somewhere. They said tonight on one of the news stations that, oh, they bringing race into this. Wait a minute. This is the anniversary of a civil rights march that was about race. I mean, what are they talking about? This is the anniversary of Dr. King dealing with race. Then the other group is being led by a man who called President Obama a racist. Who today said ABC was giving Nazi reports to me like they say about him. Who advocates states' rights. And then, of course, his star speaker tomorrow. They take, one reason I was going to Howard was y'all. I didn't finish from college. Y'all smarter than me. So I need somebody to interpret the erudite, intellectual, oratory of Sarah Perry. I can't figure it out. I try hard. I know it takes some Howard genius to explain to me what she's trying to say. I mean, she got unusual gifts. Look at her geographic ability. She can see Russia from her back door. This is who they're going to have stand where the March on Washington 63 was tomorrow. Now, they said, well, we didn't know that was the date. We thought we had September, they moved it on to 28. We didn't realize what date it was, but it was divine intervention. Well, okay, whether you do it or not, we were determined on that day that we're going to stand up and really raise the inequality issues that we still face. But if we're there tomorrow and young students like you and I there in the league, they will feel that the movement will die and that students don't understand what civil rights is. So I want to come tonight to encourage you. If you do that, I promise you won't keep all day. I know y'all got stuff to do tomorrow night. But during the day tomorrow, if you've never stood up and marched before, the whole world is watching Washington, D.C. tomorrow. states writers have their message right. You have your message to the world too. They need to hear from you about the fact that you want to stop police harassment, and you want to stop economic inequality, and you want to stop social inequality. They need to hear from you that we need every dime of the aid that President Obama gave to start black colleges, and we need more. Talk about how they bailed out the auto industry, bailed out insurance companies, bailed out Wall Street, but give students loans with interest rates so high that you be buying